Hey, Avi.
Yo, have you seen The Big Lebowski?
Say that again?
Have you seen the movie The Big Lebowski?
No. What's it
What?
about?
Sherry. Cher Bear, come on. Uh, it's about a dude who's actually a secondhand family friend. My uncle knows this guy. It's someone who lives in LA who basically smokes weed and drinks white Russians and bowls. And like that's it. That's life to this person if they're
How
still
old
alive.
is this movie?
1998.
Oh, okay. So a
And
while ago.
it takes place in 1991, almost just so you can hear Bush say, like, this will not stand. This aggression from Kuwait, it will not stand.
It seems like a lifetime ago.
But it's a Coen Brothers movie. Do you like them?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with them.
And it's like a postmodern film noir, but it's a comedy.
Okay.
So it's got a femme fatale. I forget, think the main character is a detective ish.
All right.
And I mean, I can't give away too much, but John Goodman has his best role of his career in it. It's got unforgettable lines. It's heavily quoted. It's like kind of, if
Wait,
you
is he
know,
the main character?
John Goodman is not Jeff Bridges is the main character.
Okay. Okay.
John Goodman's the number two, though, and you
Got
also have Steve Buscemi as their group of three bowlers.
it. Got it. For some reason, this is starting to sound vaguely familiar, so I may have seen it.
I mean, at the time, it's not like it was a huge thing, but just it's like a cult classic, I guess, because I don't think it was like a huge box office score.
Yeah, I don't think I've missed any of John's movies. That's why I say that.
He says, like he was a Vietnam veteran. Like this isn't Nam. There are rules.
Oh, Vietnam was a nasty war. Nasty, nasty war.
God, he plays that character to perfection.
I love it. What'd you do last night? Did you go to the casino?
No, what did I do? After that long day of playing video games, I pretty, was worn out.
How many hours did you play yesterday? At last count, it was like 6.5 when we were talking.
Uh, so I can actually look. Let me turn my computer on. It'll tell me how long I played the particular ROM hack that I made yesterday, and all of that was yesterday. But the thing is I might have to take off like a half hour, an hour,
Got it.
as if the screen was idling, and I don't know how. Like, I think if I'm not clicked on that application, then it doesn't count time.
Got it.
But I still think I would have to take off time, so it's not gonna it's gonna be an hour or less than that.
That's a long time, Abby.
And it just goes to show too, like I'm passionate about Tetris, but not about me being a good Tetris player. And also, it's just kind of clear, like, man, I really need to devote the next 2 years of my life to being a better Tetris player, to be like competing, like in the same league, not necessarily even competing, but able to compete against some of the top players. It's 2 years away, and in those 2 years, by the way, they might be getting better too. So that's like, because the competition is at its peak right now, but it's only getting better and better.
Right. So let me ask you this. I'm playing devil's advocate. So no judgment. I'm just playing devil's advocate. So why not put that studying into poker so that you can maybe make more money in poker?
Because I have an ego the size of Russia.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Oh, because
Trying
I
to
played
come
it.
up with some questions for Preston. You got any?
Um, I don't know who's Preston to start.
Preston McEwen has won 7 circuit rings, and he is one of those players that whenever you see him in a tournament, he has at least a third of the chips in front of him. No matter where, if it's the beginning, the middle, or the end of the tournament, this man always has the biggest stack of chips. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's bananas.
Yeah,
Yes.
like it's crazy. I've seen him play live. It's crazy.
So I just looked it up, by the way, and it says 8 hours and 22 minutes.
Dang.
That's how long the games were on my screen without me clicking to another screen.
Right.
But I still think take and you know I so I've been playing. You only randomize where you find items on the map. But yesterday was the first time where I randomized every door you walk into on the map is going to be random. So where you think everything is going to be is changed. And the first time I tried to play this, I did one of those. I thought, no big deal. It was a big deal. Like, I wasn't able to beat it. And then I did, so I spent a month just getting familiar, getting uber familiar with
Right.
this game, knowing it like
Right.
the back of my hand. And so 2 days ago was the first day I tried to go back to what's basically the hardest, like, it's like expert mode. um, or at least there's harder modes. So I'm only on hard mode, and there's experts still above what I'm doing. So I went from beginner to intermediate. Now I'm up to hard mode, and it was so satisfying yesterday to be able to complete it, even though it took that long. And then afterwards, I just started playing it again to basically, okay, now that I know where all the important stuff is, let me make a beeline for everything that I
Right.
need, at least that I remembered, because that was like 2/3 of the important shit. Um, but yeah, so
Well, you're bound and determined, I'd say.
and that's what I was gonna say. The only reason I wasn't able to beat this mode before is because there's no choice but to take notes. And even the way that I was beating it before, most players take notes. They take notes. But
Right.
because I have such a good memory, I'm like, I can remember 158 individual pieces of information. It's still burdensome for sure. And there were a couple times where I was like, fuck, what am I missing? Like, what did I forget? It feels like I've done everything accessible to me, and like I'd watched this video that shows you all of the item checks, and there's one time I was still like, but I opened it all. And one of the biggest things is that I've beaten this game like 18 times now or so, 18 different ways, and
Right.
so those memories kind of blur.
Well, yeah. And you're never going to be able to remember every step. I mean, I don't even think you should try to press yourself to even remember half of them. That's a
Sure,
lot.
there's one time in kindergarten I got in trouble. You know what my dad's punishment for me was?
What's that?
I had to memorize the presidents.
That's a good punishment.
Yeah, but ever since then, I can tell you my credit card number from right now, or the last one, or the one before, or the one before that. I'm not gonna, but
Wait, let me get
you're
my
like,
pencil and
go
paper.
on, go on.
Oh, let me get my pencil and paper.
There was one time in Israel. So there was a internet cafe. Um, I didn't have a cell phone. It was 2012. I didn't have, wireless cell service. So I didn't have a computer at home either. So this is like where I watched YouTube or where I looked things up on the internet, etc. And I was booking my flight back home from Israel. And they say, okay, can you provide your credit card information, please? And I'm in this cafe with like two other people in there. And I'm like, you know, unless there's someone like me who is just going to hear that number and memorize it, which is very, very few people who can do that with 16 digits.
Right.
Like, I'm in the clear here. I don't need to worry about. And like, even if they do, usually if someone gets a hold of your credit card, the credit card company just kind of says like, "Oh, someone stole your credit. Yeah, no, that's on us. Don't worry about it."
Right.
So I'm in this internet cafe. I read out the numbers to my credit card, and this, I'm in my mid 20s. This guy in his mid 30s is like, "Don't you ever do that." I'm like, "Sorry, do I know you? Are we friends? Are you my father? What?"
Well, you know that do you know that the four digits at the beginning of your credit card identifies what bank or company that credit card belongs to, like Bank of America or MasterCharge, or so they don't have to memorize the first four because all they do is listen for those four and they're like, "Oh, that's a Visa."
Hmm.
Those
And
first
just
four identify what company that card is with.
and he didn't mean don't give your credit card on the phone to someone. He meant like don't give your credit card on the
Out
phone to
loud.
someone in public, yeah,
Yeah,
in front of
out
other
loud.
people. Well, I mean, if I was in the privacy of my own house, yeah, but yeah, out loud and in public.
Yeah. And so my point is they don't have to memorize 16. Now they only have to memorize 12. What's up, Turbo? Good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
Good. How
What
are
up to
you?
that?
I'm good. Hanging in there. Having some coffee. Getting
Awesome.
ready to start the day. What's going on with you?
Oh, just doing about the same thing you are. Got a
Oh,
bunch of errands to run before I leave town.
oh, nice. I would ask Avi, but I heard what he's up to.
I'm cleaning for Tetris or
Nice.
for Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past randomizer.
I love it.
Yo, I fucked up so bad, so fucking bad, Sherry.
Why?
My SNES Mini that I got modded. I had the
Yeah.
option to mod it with every game from Sega for free, and actually, I think it was cheaper. That
And you didn't?
I would have saved $20, but I'm like, no, Nintendo is better.
Well, you
and
taught
I
yourself a lesson.
and
Avi.
I only got NES and SNES games. I can't play Streets of Rage, Sherry. What's
Yeah,
up,
I was
Turbo?
gonna say Streets of Rage 2 is one of the greatest games of all time.
Yeah, I watched someone playing it on YouTube last night, and I was like, why the fuck did I pass on this game for them to pay me to play it?
Well, in your defense, is there a Sega controller available for it? Like,
No, I would have been playing on SNES
oh, then
controller.
you made the right choice because that would have just made me mad playing Sega games on an SNES controller.
I can't picture. Was the controller? Oh, it was ABC.
Yeah, it had the 3 buttons instead of the 4.
Did it have buttons on the top corners also?
I don't think so.
Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, okay,
Turbo, how's
I
your
can see
roommate
that.
doing?
He's at work. He's good. Yeah,
Awesome. Great. Good
don't
stuff.
really see him a whole lot because he's gone like 60 hours a week, and then I have my own stuff going on. So,
Awesome. I'm glad that's working out.
yep,
Very good.
yeah. Where are you heading to, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, I don't mind. I'm gonna head out tomorrow to Florida. Very short stint because my daughter's gonna be down there with her team.
Nice.
So I'm just going for a couple of days because I have to be back by Monday night because I fly to Tunica on Tuesday to play.
Oh, that's right. That is coming up.
Yeah. So it's unfortunate that the dates overlapped because I'd really like to spend the whole week with her down in Florida, but it is what it is.
Well, you've had this Tunica trip planned for quite some time too, right?
Yeah, exactly. And originally they were supposed to play on Sunday, Monday, which meant that I could see them play. But now they're not playing till Tuesday, Wednesday. So there you go.
Yeah, it do be like that with plans sometimes.
Yeah.
But I'm glad
So it is.
you get to see your daughter. That's exciting.
Yeah. And some other friends are coming in from out of town. So it's kind of a little bit of a reunion.
Nice. Yeah, I've heard quite a few
Yeah,
people are going to that Tunica stop.
I'm excited. I enjoy Tunica. I've spent quite a bit of time there. I've only been there probably once in the last 4 or 5 years, but before that, I was going a couple times a year. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, I still have never been. I was trying to this year, but couldn't make the money work for it. So I'd rather make
Yeah,
the Run Good stop here work in May than travel. But hopefully, I'll get to one of the other Run Good events close by.
I hear you.
Council Bluffs is only 3 hours away, so that one's probably, or Tulsa's about the same distance. So hopefully, I can go to one of those too.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, that makes sense. I wish I had them 3 hours away.
Yeah, it's nice like having that shorter drive because then I can get a cheaper hotel that's off property that's further away, but I still have a car and stuff. So
Right on. Yeah, I had some Southwest point, not points, but like I got a voucher because they bumped me off one of my last flights. So I was like, oh, let me see. So I have a free flight, I have a free hotel. I'm like, why wouldn't I be doing this?
yeah, that sounds pretty decent. I think.
Yeah. And I like Tunica. It's nothing like it used to be. It's sort of a ghost town in comparison to what it used to be. But hopefully, if we all go there once, twice a year, it'll help with that situation.
Yeah, for sure. I haven't played in a poker tournament for a while. I might have to play a little bit more online and get in some of these dailies that they have here, even though there's only like 3 a week, I think, at one of the rooms here. Not a
Nice.
lot of poker tournaments here, but cash games are good at least.
Oh, let me tell you something. Remember, you're speaking to someone that has zero tournaments within 5 hours
That's
of
very
her.
true.
So
I should remember that when I speak to you.
actually, it's within 3 hours. Harris Cherokee, 3 hours away. But
I thought you would be further away from Harris Cherokee. When I lived in North Carolina, I was like 5 or 6, I think.
yeah, because you were on the other side of the state.
Yeah, and
See?
it's a big state.
Yeah.
So honestly, it made more sense for me to go to like Jacksonville
Yep.
because like there's more going on. And then I never went up to National Harbor, but that was actually the closest one to me. I just didn't want to deal with DC traffic.
Yeah, I've actually been up there. One time when I went on a road trip with my son, we stopped there, stopped in Philadelphia, stopped along the way several places. I liked it. We had fun.
Yeah, I've heard it's a really good room. I just
Yeah,
never made it up there.
I hear you.
I honestly like, unless I'm traveling for poker, I don't usually play a lot like on vacation or anything.
Yeah, it kind of just depends. Like when I go down to Florida this time, although my son plays, nobody else that'll be down there with us plays poker. So I don't even know if I'll see one hand of poker. We will be at the Hard Rock, but I don't know if I'm going to see one hand of poker.
Yeah, when I was in college and I was dating a girl, she like her family lived like on the Arkansas Oklahoma border. So there was like a small like Cherokee casino
Right.
maybe 15 minutes from our house, and whenever they'd like have family stuff to do that I didn't really want to on like a long weekend I was there, I was like, I'm gonna go over to the casino, even though her dad absolutely hated gambling, and he really hated me for that, especially when I would come back after wedding. Like he was like anti-sweating me every time I'd go play, which is really funny.
And that's probably one of the reasons you said former ex girlfriend.
Part of it. I don't think it was a big part. I mean, she didn't care. Her mom thought it was actually kind of cool, but he was not into it. Whatever. I was young.
Well, and let's face it, a lot of people just don't understand the whole poker thing and how people can actually play poker, not be gamblers, so to speak. Um, you know,
For
it
sure.
is
And
what it is.
at that point, I think I'd probably put less than $50 total into a slot machine. Never played a pit game. I still actually haven't ever played a table game, unless you count the digital roulette. I've done that a few times, but not a big pit game guy.
Yeah, me neither. Um,
Yeah, I'm on a
I like to
$400
play.
winning streak at blackjack. Let's fucking go.
Nice.
in 2
I
sessions.
like to play craps with my kids just because we could all do it together and, have fun. But very rarely will you ever hear me say, hey, let's go play blackjack, or hey, let's go play Mississippi Stud. Although I have played those games.
Yeah,
I'm just,
I would do that with a group of people. That would be fun. But like,
yeah,
whenever I go to the casino here, I usually just go by myself. Might talk to a
right.
few people there that I know, but maybe this year
Yeah,
in Vegas, when a bunch of us go over to Ellis Island, I'll play some blackjack with Doiky or something.
right on. Right on. And my son just got into Baccarat, so I've been sitting behind him watching. And I'm going to tell you, that game drives me abs. I could never play that game because I want to kill these people that are taking 20 minutes to look at the two damn cards in front of them to let the table know what the hell's going on.
Oh, when they squeeze out the fucking cards.
Oh my God, I'm ready to kill somebody.
Yeah, it might be people worse than people like tank folding in tournaments live.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like, come on. The whole time I'm sitting behind my son saying like smart ass remarks about the person doing it. And it's so funny because I'm doing like a commentary. It's so funny, but it's so frustrating. I'm like, just look at the fucking cards. Oh, God.
Yo, Sherry, by the way, did you hear that Fats tried to pull the fast one on us?
Uh-oh, what'd he do now?
He pulled an Avi.
He pulled an Ivy.
He hit and run us.
Oh, in your PLO game?
Yeah, no one's made a big stink about it so far, but, the league is about to come back together, so, it feels like a good thing to, like, kind of blow some smoke up the ass of this week, just a little bit, but we invite him to play cash game with us. I think
Right,
he lost his first buy-in, whatever. He buys
right.
in for $4. He buys out for 50 or something. He sits out, and I'm like, Fats, you're hit and running us? And he said, yeah, I got my buy-in back for the tournament. I'm even on you guys now, basically is what he said to us. And I mean, this is in his official co-commissioner role. Okay, no, it's not in his official co-commissioner role. But it just it didn't sit right with some people. And more, not that people are actually pissed, but just have something to troll. Like he's giving people something to troll. That's all. That's all.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
That's my
just going to be
thing.
real honest with you. This shit sounds worse than the emoji gate. Like, how stupid is that shit? And this is teetering on the same level.
all right.
But how funny was that shit?
It
I'm
wasn't.
It
I'm with
It
wasn't,
was
Avi
zero.
here. I
dude. I
think
thought it was hilarious.
some fake outrage at Fats for hit and running a table when he probably didn't even hit and run. He probably played a couple orbits after.
No, he
For
didn't.
Funny.
$15.
He
Let's not
didn't.
forget
He
the dollar
fucking
amount.
sat out on the
$15.
blind when he won a big hand. It was.
Oh, is the next hand?
I mean, it was the hand before the big blind.
Was it like five? If it was like 5 or 6 hands, I think that's probably okay. If it's
No, it was
close to
two.
an orbit, I think
It was
that's.
2 or less.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hey, John Robertson. What's up?
Good morning. How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I had to take my prep period to go to the eye doctor, but I'm good.
Oh, are we seeing things clearly now? Or,
No, it's terrible. They dilated me. I can't see anything clearly.
oh,
So,
yuck.
I hate it. So
We all do.
I'm sitting here in my room with the lights off, just listening to you guys talk about nonsense, which is
Here we
fine, which
are.
is fine with me.
All right, John. Speaking of nonsense, I had a thought.
Okay.
All right, what do you think about the Royals signing Alex Verdugo?
I have no opinion on it.
We need some outfield help, and he's cheap, and he's been good in the past.
Sure, I like see. I don't follow the farm systems enough, and I don't follow all that, so I really don't know. Like I usually just say, who are they going to put on the field this year, and I learn all the people that are new, and then I just kind of go with it. I trust people a bit smarter than me to do that stuff. I know I'm not a very good fan.
Same. I mean, I'm about in the same boat. I don't follow it too close. I like read one of the fan websites like a couple times a week, maybe to see what's going on, just because I don't watch the spring training games at all.
Yeah, I don't keep up with it until we get to like actual game time, like season time. I'll start paying attention. So I don't know. Did Salvi retire? I think he retired, right?
No, he's still playing, unless I
Okay.
missed some bombshell news.
I thought he was. I thought they were saying he was going to retire, but maybe I'm wrong. Like it wouldn't surprise me if I'm wrong on this one because I don't really know. But he's one of my favorite players of all time. Him and Alex Gordon are like two. Like they're up there with George Brett for me. Like love those guys.
Yeah,
George
Hard
Brett, Bo
Knocks.
Jackson. They're like my top two Royals of all time. Obviously, like everybody else in the world. But like Salvi and Alex. Like I got two Alex signed balls. I got to meet him twice. I don't know if I ever told you about that.
Yeah,
So I got to meet him in Baltimore, and then I got to meet him because I won a Twitter contest out in Kansas City, which was awesome. Like I love those guys. We need more athletes like those guys that are like likable and kind, and they don't really stir up any drama. They just do their thing, and they say they're nice people. I mean, I don't know what they're doing in their home life, but at least publicly, they're nice people.
yeah. That's why
I mean, they're gentlemen and good examples.
Yeah, I
That's
love it.
amazing.
No, they really are. Like
Awesome.
honestly, the super super kind people.
Yeah, I'm sure you saw that video of Salvi last year, like stopping in his neighborhood to see, like, play wiffle ball with some kids in the street.
Yeah. Yeah. Salvi is one of like the reason I love him, and I'm sure you'll understand this or agree with me, is like he is very much just he's there for the love of the game. He wants other people to love the game. He's happy. He's not complaining about life. Like, he took it hard when what's his face died, like got killed in the car crash or the boat crash.
Yeah,
Ventura.
Giordano.
Yeah, when he like Salvi took that super hard, but like he still like he kept a positive face outwardly and stuff. And I was like, that's we need more of that. Like it's okay to own your sadness, but like, we gotta try to be positive.
Yo, you know who the GOAT was for me in
From the
baseball?
who?
Ricky Henderson.
Oh, I love Ricky Henderson.
Yep,
Who
I
doesn't
do
like Ricky
too.
I love
Henderson?
his
Ricky's the
Me
batting
man.
too.
stance even.
I got his rookie card somewhere because I remember I bought it at the stupidest place. It was at a 4-H fair. They had a guy with a baseball card table, and I bought his rookie card when I was like a little kid because I love Ricky Henderson. He was my favorite out of all those athletics guys. Like when the Bash brothers were there, and like it was the big deal. I still liked Ricky the most.
And the pitchers too, they had like Dave Stewart. They were stacked, man.
Oh yeah, Dennis Eckersley. It was a big deal. I liked the A's back then. I've always been a person like I have my number one favorite team. Like Royals are my team and the Pacers are my team, but like I always have other teams that I like based on personalities and players.
Yo, by the way, I was watching the 1998 season, which I watched every single game of the Padres that year. And like after that, I haven't watched baseball since, but it was heartbreaking. But yo, game one of the World Series in the Bronx, Kevin Brown has the lead. Dave Stewart gets on the phone with the bullpen. Bruce Bochy comes out onto the field and takes the ball away from Kevin Brown, and we get swept. What the fuck, dude? He doesn't have it? Dave Stewart? You're gonna. I can't believe they pulled him. The next guy gave up a 3-run home run, and the Yankees won 9-5. Like, of course they did. Of course they did.
Listen, I'm always down for hating on the Yankees. I'm always here for a Yankees loss. I don't care who it is. So
You know who's pitching for the Yankees game one?
I don't remember that.
David fucking Wells.
Okay,
You had
that
Kevin
makes sense.
Brown, your best pitcher, versus their worst pitcher, and you forfeit late in the game. Of course you lose the series, dude. If you're saying that David Wells is better than Kevin Brown, that's not what it's saying, but you let him fucking get the ball to fucking Trevor Hoffman if you can.
Turbo, did you go to the series when it was in Kansas City?
No, I was way too broke for that.
Yeah, that's fair. I went
I was
to
only like 24,
okay.
25 when that happened.
Yeah, that makes sense. I went to game one in 2014 and I paid $800 for one nosebleed ticket. and like my daughter had just been like she was like 1 year old, so my daughter and my wife stayed in a hotel, and like they're super supportive. They drove out there with me and they stayed in a hotel and watched it on TV, but I went to the game. And then 2015 I went to game 2 with my dad, and that's just like honestly one of my favorite memories of all time. Like I'm sure you've seen me tweet about it, and I'll probably talk about it
Oh
more,
yeah.
but like he didn't care about sports at all. My dad was an electrical engineer and sports were not his thing, but like he went with me to go watch the World Series game 2 just to because he wanted to see me enjoy it. And that's honestly one of the most beautiful memories. And they won. It was a
Yeah,
two
and game
hitter.
2 was when Volquez threw that gem, right? Or no, it was
Yeah,
Cueto.
Cueto threw the two hitter. It
Yeah,
was
that incredible game.
It was so good. And we were in the upper deck, but we were like row 1 of the upper deck, and like the entire section next to us was all Mets fans. Like I mean the whole section next to us was Mets fans, just completely oranged out. We had so much fun. Oh man, dad loved every second of it. It was so cool. Because like he didn't care about, like I said, the game, but he loved, like we met a couple of Royals players in the team shop, and he just loved watching the people, and it was so cool. It was such a fun experience. That one was way
Those are
cheaper.
great memories.
Oh, it was so good. But like the first one, since they hadn't been in 30 years, the tickets were stupid expensive. Game 1, like I said, $800 for a nosebleed seat. Or the next year, I think we got both tickets total for like 650.
Yeah,
So
like when I was looking then, I mean, much more primitive of times, but like when I initially looked, like unless it was like the day or two before a game, it was like 1,100 to get standing room only seats for game 1.
yeah, it was insane.
And so me and my friends actually were like trying to scheme a trip to San Francisco because it would have been cheaper for us to split gas,
And go to San
drive there every
Francisco.
few days, get hotels, and then go to San Francisco for a game.
Well, it's because nobody knew when the Royals were ever going to get back, or if they would ever get back.
Yep.
So they were like, well, this is our one time to see him in the World Series. Because that's how I felt about it. I was like, well, I may not get another shot. Better do it now. So I mean, I had just started teaching, so like I really didn't have a ton of money at the time, but uh, we made it work.
Yeah, I lived in North Carolina for the 2015 World Series. So I was, by myself when they won, and I was sprayed a bottle of champagne alone in the
Did
backyard.
Did you cry? I cried. I literally cried.
No, I did cry after the 2014 wild card game though.
Yeah, that's cool. That was an
Yeah,
exciting one too.
I called my dad from a bar and was crying, and that was good. Good stuff.
That's awesome. I remember I had pretty much written that game off, and I was like, whatever, I'm going to bed. And I woke up the next morning, and then they'd won. I'm like, what? I was mad that I turned it off, but I remember being just like, yeah, that was a great run. That's what people don't understand is great about following a small market team is like, they have to work so hard to get it done that when they get it done, like it's so satisfying. It feels so good to have stuck with them until it happens. That's why I want to see the Pacers make it happen this year. If the Pacer, like, I think we got a shot. I legitimately think we got a shot. It's going to be a tough road, but I think they could. I'd give them a 15% chance.
Hey, you guys, let me read the latest tweet. I'm going to put it up in the Jumbotron from Club WPT Gold, posted 22 minutes ago. Recently, one of our affiliates has taken a critical approach toward our platform and made disparaging jokes about our ambassadors and players. While we respect honest feedback about desired features and occasional bugs, we do not endorse personal attacks on our community. Vlogs and other content channels are powerful tools for expanding interest in poker, bringing in new perspectives, and enriching our community. We stand by our ambassadors for a positive impact they make. We are working tirelessly to continually improve our platform. We stand by our team, value our players, and remain committed to delivering a great experience for everyone. Anybody know what affiliates?
Why didn't they
They're
just tag
talking?
Doug Polk? I'm pretty sure that's who they're subtweeting there, but
That's what I think too.
I don't think he said anything like disparaging about the community per se. But I haven't watched all of his stuff. But
I
that would be my
love,
guess.
I love that account. I'm not gonna lie. I love that WPT Gold account. Like I
Me too.
think they sometimes are pushing it, but I also think it's funny. So
Well, and
I
maybe
think
that's
it's
not him
hilarious.
because Seriously Serious works for Doug, the guy who's
Yeah, but
running
it
that
oh,
said
account.
affiliate. But it said one of our affiliates has taken a critical approach toward our platform.
Well, I mean,
So
Doug
it's an
has
affiliate.
an affiliate code right now,
Yeah,
so I don't know.
and he's been streaming for how many hours while playing on that platform? So, I mean, that's who came to my mind. I certainly don't have, anything I can prove to it, but
did
that's who came to my mind.
Did you see their tweet yesterday? Like I replied to it, and like he said, he replied back to me, said I was one of the few that appreciated it. But that like Nancy Pelosi video, like being really unhappy with Trump, and then he put how it feels when you donk off your chips to someone and they give them to somebody else or something. I don't. It was a really funny tweet. I'll have to go find it. And like I thought it was hilarious because it was so perfect. Because regardless of how you feel about the specific politicians, like the look on her face is exactly how you feel when that happens.
I
I
put it up in the Jumbotron for those that missed that one. I think that he's doing a great job with that account, and
Oh yeah,
he's a,
absolutely.
agreed to come and do an interview with me. So,
That's
couple
awesome. I
weeks.
love that. I love that. Like that's a good one to
Yeah,
get. That's a good get, Sherry.
thanks. I appreciate that. So I have some folks lined up for the next couple weeks. So it'll probably be 3 or 4 weeks from now. But yeah, he's going to come on and chat with us. Should be a good one.
I like getting interesting people. I think that's the best thing you can do is just continue to get interesting people and
And I'm trying to get people, and I've said this from the start, I want to get people that we haven't seen 10 million interviews with
yeah,
already. You know what I mean?
interesting
Like those people
voices.
are awesome too. And I love interviewing them as well. But I really want to focus on folks that we really want to get to know because we just don't know them.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm with it. I like learning about new people and there's so many. This is where I think that the poker media and poker content creators are missing out is that like they're not doing a good job of storytelling about the people. Like that's what I think made the W or the ESPN stuff back in the day really, you know,
Right.
important.
Entertaining.
Well, yeah, like the people that play poker and really care about the strategy and really like follow that stuff, they're going to watch it for the poker anyway. But to get the middle ground and the people who maybe don't play as much, you got to tell a story. And I think that lately they have most people aren't doing that.
Well, and I see it, I look at it from a content creator way of looking at it. In a lot of cases, to me, they take the easy way out and just, go after the person that everybody already knows because it's
Yeah.
easy. The story is easy to tell versus finding someone that people are just getting to know and research them and create something new. So that's kind of how I look at it. Because if you think about the media, it's always the same people. It's always the same people highlighted. It's always the same people interviewing. And it's not that I don't love catching up with those people. I just want to meet some new people
Well,
and
and
get to know
when you
new
think about
people.
it from like a business standpoint, it's less risky to take someone you know people might be interested in, right? Like
Of
because you're
course,
gonna have some bombs. You're gonna get some people that we don't know, and they're gonna tell their story, and it's not gonna be that
of course.
interesting, or it's not gonna be a story that we really care about. But like that's gonna
And guess
happen.
what? I've had some of those myself, and one of them I was so surprised that people just didn't tune in. She's won a bracelet. It's a bracelet winner, and you're like, but people just didn't tune into her. They don't find her whatever interesting. And you know what? I don't care. I found her interesting. I do this mostly for myself. And why? Because I enjoy it. And I hope others enjoy it too. So then I do it for them as well. But, you know, I don't care if they've only, if that person only had 50 views or listens, right? Because we can't please everybody. I could just put it out there. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But I'm loving it. Andres, welcome.
Hey, how's it going, Sherry? How's it going,
Good.
guys?
How are you?
Hello, hello. I mean, I've just been sick a couple of days, and I mean, you can hear it a little bit with my voice, but doing all right. Yeah, how are you?
I'm glad you're feeling better.
Yeah,
You
thanks.
you bring in some smoke about the infamous hand.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't help myself. Like, I've just seen it yesterday, and like, thought I didn't even get it at first because I didn't see the hand. I mean, there was just some discussion that I followed on Twitter, and then I kind of had to reverse engineer and see, oh, well, this was about a hand. And then I saw the whole stuff and the clip later, even after making the video. I've seen the whole thing, and yeah, I mean, it's horrible.
It's
Uh,
really
yeah,
such an unfortunate situation, and
that too. Yeah,
as we look at it as in hindsight, you know, I want to always be clear that the reporter did not realize it until
yeah,
time had
yeah,
went
yeah.
by, because I think people are also trying to, in some respect, crucify that reporter for not speaking up, and it's not fair because they didn't realize it until way later, and that they had already played many hands and it was not going to be reversed, versus somebody that realized it in real time and did nothing about it. And so for
Yeah.
me, it's two separate issues. One, what actually took place and the dealer's responsibility in that hand. And two, how do we address this in the future as far as reporters are concerned? Or anyone else, even bystanders, just anybody watching the hand that sees that it's not being, um, insured the pot going to the winner, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've tuned in a little bit yesterday, but just towards the end, and I rewatched the recording that you guys had on Spaces, and I mean, I agree for the most part with what you're saying. I wouldn't even go as far as blaming the reporter. It's just about how we take this going forward. I mean, the reporter doesn't have an obligation whatsoever to say anything. The point is just if you see something, speak up, and I think that's also what you said. Um, Going forward, I am, however, minding a lot what some people are discussing, that they talk about some random stuff like journalism and shit. Sorry, I'm still a bit congested. And I don't think that has anything to do with poker. I mean, poker and sports, it's completely separate. We shouldn't just treat poker like football or just
Yeah,
whatever. Like poker
yeah.
is a different game.
Yes, and it doesn't equate, it's apples and oranges. I think a better way to compare would be a bank robbery. I'm a reporter and there's a bank robbery going on, so I go to the scene and I'm watching it all unfold. And as it's unfolding, I see the bank robber run out of the back of the bank through the back door. Do I say something or do I just sit there quietly and report? The man is running away with the bags of money. I see where he's at, where he's going. Do I sit there and report it or do I stay quiet?
Yeah, I mean,
That's a better
another
comparison.
choice. Yeah, I think so too. It's just also a little bit common sense. I mean, you just see something. I think people are really good these days about belittling, or maybe that's the wrong word, but you know, um, what's the right English term for this? To just make it a lot smaller than it really is. But
Right.
what these guys like Maurice Hawkins, if he saw it, and I think there's like a 90% chance that he's seen it. And then also 2 years ago, somebody in the Kings Casino, he's also there is at least one guy who has seen that the player shouldn't be eliminated. And I mean, you're stealing equity, and sometimes in the heights of five figures. And there's clearly a TDA rule that you're supposed to pay attention to poker, and then you are supposed to speak up if you see something. Yeah, sure, we cannot prove it when there is a player intention. We cannot prove that they have seen certain things, and there is no real penalty that you can give to these guys unless they kind of admit to it.
Right.
But yeah, it's
Well, and let's face it,
yeah.
part of the
Mhm.
problem is, so to speak, that the two people at that table, besides the gentleman that got eliminated, bet they're going to gain from him being eliminated. They both level up a ladder step, which means they both gain, I think it was $100,000, or I don't even remember the amount. So they're both benefiting from this person be eliminated. So they have lots of motivation of selfishness and selfish reasons to keep their mouths shut. Now, that doesn't mean that I believe that they saw it or knew it was happening. I'm just saying that there's reasons why in the world of poker we have anglers. Those anglers benefit from the angle, right? And so,
Yeah.
and there's no proof whatsoever, and I'm not trying to even suggest that it's happened, that they're, they just angled to wrong up, so to speak. But that is also part of poker that we have to think about, so we can avoid this in some way in the future, so that we get it done correctly and not
Yeah.
right, and
Yeah.
not the angle win.
And I see this sentiment with like lots of people voicing their opinions on Twitter. I think there was like Liliaka making this post that, yes, sure, there's a, there's like a little bit of a dilemma because there's so much ICM in play. And I mean, with that, I just have to disagree. Just because you have so many incentives and you can get like a free 30K in because of the wrong decisions doesn't make you not accountable to pay attention and then to speak up if you know it. I mean, it's just very, very immoral, and it should be criticized a lot more harshly in poker. I mean, I would say that, for example, what we've seen with these ACR pros doing a little bit of RTA, people losing their goddamn minds, right? And yes, I think it's bad. Don't get me wrong. But I think on a scale of having like a RTA, GTO Wizard preflop chart somewhere in the background and checking in the breaks, yeah, it is bad. Don't get me wrong. It's cheating. But this is worse. This is clearly worse. It's for a lot more money. The EV gained by not speaking up here. The only problem is that you cannot prove it. But
Right.
I try to measure things in terms of their severity and EV gain. For example, Mike Postle, he probably gained like 150K to 200K, and he just also rubbed it in everyone's face. So there's an emotional component to it on a live stream as well. But it is the EV gain that people are having that I think you have to measure in. And here it's like 30K. So it's actually pretty severe, and people just don't think it's that big of a deal, whereas I completely disagree.
And
it's a pretty big deal, I think.
I think it's kind of a bird's eye view of the person or persons, you know, who's willing to go. How can I say this? Who is going to take the high road and who's going to take the low road? I think we're seeing, I think it's not a good reflection on our community as to, what people are saying. They're, willing to keep their mouth shut because, hey, I'm going to make more money if I do, instead of, oh no, I'm going to speak the truth because the integrity of our game counts on it. John Robertson, what do you have for us, bud? Your hand was up.
So I 100% agree with ethically and morally the players should say something if they notice it, right? Like I 100% agree with you. I want to preface my next statement with that. Like I definitely agree with that statement. Like ethically, morally, as players, if we see something, we should be saying something. But I think what's getting lost in this conversation about the journalists and the players is ultimately it is 100% on the casino and their employees to run a fair event. Like they definitely, like we need to be more critical of the fact that the casino and the employee, and I don't want to hate on dealers, I'm not a dealer hater by any means, but like there was a screw up, let's own the screw up in that spot first. That's where I think we need to be putting a lot more attention on, as opposed to, again, I agree, as players, ethically, morally, we should be doing the right thing, but like ultimately this comes down to a poorly acted
Well, and
action.
maybe I haven't said it enough times, but I clearly have stated several times this was a dealer issue.
Sure, I'm not talking about you. I'm
yeah.
saying the community in general. We're not like we're all, the community as a whole is getting distracted by the would you or should
Well,
the
and I think
journalist. Like,
it's really the conversation has left that hand and gone into what are we doing from here out.
Yeah, the way I see it, I mean, I completely agree with you, John, that the dealer fuck up is severe and also the floor. I mean, the primary two, if I had to put in weights, the primary two is just these two people, the floor and the dealer. They're the main safety net for this not to happen. And then afterwards, the discussion starts on, whether there can be additional safety nets like the players. I mean, I completely agree. There's no question about it. And also, I would go as far as this dealer. I mean, I would criticize this dealer so severely, more so than a lot of dealers that I've seen made mistakes in the past, because this dealer is just acting in such a fast way, like he's the fucking end boss of dealing cards, and being so sure of himself that he made a mistake that would otherwise not happen in a similar fashion to other dealers, you know. And I strongly dislike that, you know, when dealers do that. I've actually lost at least $500 in equity, I think in 23, to a dealer who did exactly the same to me, because he was so fucking sure of himself, and he fucking knows everything and what he's doing. He made this really weird mistake in a bomb pot of setting up turns and river in the wrong way. And I'm so damn puzzled. And this guy's like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. He's like, and then I'm at some point after like 5-10 seconds, I'm like, no, man, you don't. Fuck it. What was this?
Well,
And then I just lose like a lot of equity to the dealer just because he's so full of himself, you know? And I think this is exactly happening here.
well, and for me in this case, I think the dealer, as well as everybody at that table, is so caught up with the table talk and the yelling about what we need on the river, that we're so focused on what Maurice needs that once it gets there, everything else is like null and void. Like we are no longer focusing on actually what's happening and who's won the hand. We're focusing on that table talk. And because that table talk came to fruition, we just automatically assumed he was the winner. I mean, that's where I see that dealer getting caught up in the moment and caught up in that table talk. And he needed to slow down and look at the cards and verify what was going on, especially after the loser said, "Oh, wait, I thought I won that hand." That should have been an immediate red flag to that dealer that, wait, let me double check this again. And
Yeah.
and instead the dealer just turns his cards over and mucks. I mean, every time I watch that film and see those cards being picked up and turned over and put in the muck, it's like a stake in my heart, because I'm like, oh my God. Like,
Yeah, and hearing the other guy, like
oh,
I think these are super relevant points. I mean, exactly. Like this is just also a disrespect. It's like, I mean, to me, it feels like, looking also at the clip, it's like the dealer. Oh well, Maurice Hawkin needs a 5. I mean, like, what does he need exactly? Like you said, and then he deals the 5. Oh yeah, there's the wheel, you know, and he doesn't even look at the Queen 10 again. Oh, there's the wheel. Yeah, let's get this fuck over with. Let's eliminate the third player. Then we're heads up. Maybe they're making a deal. Maybe they're getting it in, and then I can call it a day, and it's like over. This is how it feels like,
right.
honestly.
No,
Yeah.
I
I
agree.
mean,
Yeah.
I agree. And it's so unfortunate, because we got to do better. Like the guy that went out in third place deserves better.
I think
And God help it, God help us if that's ever us one day. I would hope that if it were me, somebody would speak up and say, wait a minute, look at those cards again, because you're awarding the chips to the wrong person. Like, I would hope somebody would speak up. If that's happening at my table and you're around people, please speak up for me and on behalf of me. Go ahead, Turbo.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I haven't seen people talk about is like I think it's kind of weird that like there wasn't a TD or like a supervisor around, because normally when like I'm like final two tables or on the bubble, like there's people everywhere.
Well,
And to be at that big of
yeah.
a state, like in a tournament, unless like the room's busy, they don't have the staff. Like I get it if they're starting another tournament, you know, those things should be there. But like a lot of times when you're in those like late stages of tournaments, like there's someone around.
Yeah, and we talked about it briefly yesterday. And it could have been just the TD needed to go to the bathroom, take a bathroom break. And it could be something just that simple, that TD had been there the entire time and said, okay, they're down three-handed. Let me take a run to the restroom. I just we don't have all the details, but I 100% agree with you that there should have been a staff member at that table for and swapping out if you need to go pee with someone else, for the until that final table was over. I think once the final table hits, there should be an assigned employee standing around that table monitoring as in the position of a TD. So I agree.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you guys this question because it kind of like there's the debate about like whether a reporter or someone on the side that's not involved in the tournament like should say anything. And I think there's a huge difference between saying like at showdown, like at the end when like cards aren't shown and there's like, oh, there's a 4 flush on board, to get the person that's about to muck their cards to check again, versus the hands are tabled. And like, I think it's totally fine for someone on outside to say something like, hey, check that again, or how many, what was the board again, how many clubs, because
I
it's not
totally
changing
agree.
the action at that
I
point. Like,
totally agree.
Well, and there was a dealer, I forget who it was last night, that made the comment that said the easiest solution, and this is where I agree with him. Like, as a reporter, if you go up and just like, even if you see it, you don't have to say like, hey, whoa, 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 something's wrong. You could just say, oh, just for my notes, was there a flush on the board? Was that the winning hand? And then that signals them to look, right? Like, you don't have to like become a huge stopper part of the thing to just ask a question that's basically cueing them.
yeah, like, hey, can I get a look at this board for the bust out hand?
Or yeah, or can you like, yeah, I think that you could do something that way without becoming, because I really do like, there's a fine line becoming part of the story and reporting the story. Like I teach that to my journalism students all the time. There's a very fine line between the two things, and you have to walk that line. But like by asking a question like, "Hey, what was the winning hand?" so I can put it in my notes, or there was a flush or whatever. Like you could say that without making a theatrical like stop the event type of situation.
No, exactly. That's I
Oh,
kind of,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
glad we kind of agree on that. Like, it's, I don't want reporters or anyone on like the rail to like impact the play of the game. But
100%. Nobody
not
wants
saying
that.
something also is part of the story too, because it's not what should be happening. It's kind of like someone leaving their player's card, like in a machine, and they're walking away, and you're like, hey, this is yours. Like, it's already over. There's nothing really to do about it. Like, it's just what happened. I mean, I know this has happened to me in like cash games before, and I didn't catch it until a few hands later, and then it's like, well, I'm an idiot. And that's on you, especially in cash games. But I think tournaments are a little bit different.
I agree.
Well, and trying to like honestly, like when we're doing the journalism lessons about like reporting the story and not being part of this, that's a hard lesson to really teach to teenagers, because I was like, your instinct is you want to do one thing, and you have to ask yourself like, does this affect and change? Like we do a whole big activity over it, because like it's a integral part of journalism and the ethics of journalism, right? Like, but it's never like, sometimes it's just not clear cut. Like I mean, sometimes you got to just ask yourself, which one am I going to do?
Well, and ethics. I think you hit a key word there. Ethics. We want the pot to go to the person that has earned it. Um, you know, and I think
Yeah,
poker is a little different when you have somebody reporting that hand. I just, as you know, how I feel about it. But anyway, um, I think this needs to be addressed for the future for sure. And like Turbo said, it has to be, a clear cut situation where it's not going to change the outcome change the action because both hands are tabled already. But because we certainly don't want anybody interfering where it would change the action for sure.
Well, step one is just casinos need to have someone there watching
Oh,
like
of
they need to
course.
just have someone, and the dealer needs to slow down. Like they need training for their, like that's obviously step one, is just fix the freaking
Yeah,
casino.
nobody disagrees with that, but we
Yeah, no,
still
I know,
need
but
to.
I'm just saying like that. Yeah, but then like have a rule or a statement, like, or even like if you're having journalists and reporters there, let them know what the expectation is, because you're putting something on someone. And here's the part that kind of bothers me a little bit, but not about this specific situation, but like we have players who are always constantly mocking and pissed off and saying that the reporters got the hands wrong and this and that, like, so they're giving them shit for that all the time, and now they're being like, oh, they need to be the like clear cut go to, like we'll pick one, you can't
Oh,
have both.
I don't think anybody's saying they should be the
Mm,
clear cut or
let's not
assigned
say
to
that no one's saying
monitor,
it. Let's not
but
say no one's saying it. Some people are saying it, so I'm
okay, but
just
not the
Yeah,
majority. I
that's
mean,
there's
that's fair, but
there's
we're
like
that's
trying to come
fair.
up with a
hypocrisy
fair
there.
solution, and the solution should be if you see something, you should say something. I'm not saying assign the reporters to do
No,
anything
no, no, no,
other
I'm
than
just saying give them a clear expectation, that's all.
100%. And
but
that's
I
what we talked
but
about last night is, where do we go? How do we go forward? Do we put some rules in? I just was goofing around and saying, do we put some rules in place that the code word is Shazam? So if I'm a reporter and I say Shazam to the dealer knows, wait a minute, I need to look at this hand a little closer. I'm getting it wrong.
yeah,
I don't,
that's all fine. I'm just saying, my point was like, you know how the poker community gets. They definitely want to be outraged sometimes about whatever random thing they want to be outraged on. So like seeing the same people who always complain about reporters getting stuff wrong now saying they want them to be the like, responsible type stuff. And I'm saying not you or the majority, but the people that are saying that just irks me because I'm just pick a lane, people. It has to be one or the other. It can't be both.
I agree. I totally agree.
I feel like journalists have a thankless job. Like you try really hard. I mean, there's a lot of bad journalism out there. Don't get me wrong. There's a ton of horrible bad journalism, and like mainstream media is no longer true journalism, in my opinion. So I don't even really want to go down that road. But like I do think it's a thankless job a lot of times because people aren't getting what they want, or if the news is bad, they're shooting the messenger, not the message type situation.
Right. And this, I think you just kind of proved my point. The poker reporter is, although they're part of the media, they are typically somebody that has been in the world of journalism or breaking into the world of journalism and have gotten a job to report poker. And many of them are just they've never done it before in their lives and they're just getting on the job training. Hence why a lot of times the hands are wrong. And a lot of the times they themselves don't even play poker. And so they're trying to report, quote unquote, on something that they've never even played. And we're expecting them to give us a good angle and a good story when they really don't have enough knowledge base to create either one of those. And so it
Well, and
is different. It is a
oh,
different beast than somebody just reporting for a magazine, news outlet, whatever. It's just a different beast, in my opinion.
and the
Yeah.
difficulty
Also,
of go ahead, go ahead.
I also wouldn't over focus on just reporters, because there's, yeah, sure, there might be the closest, but there's also most of the time, like it's been said before, I think John said it, there's a rail, or there's just at least one guy, friend, buddy watching. And I think the rail can also just when there's a showdown, poker's a different sport or a different thing than other sports out there, and the showdown is just a unique setting where, I mean, it's kind of over, right? You have the cards on the table, and people can comment on it, and then the right thing needs to happen upon showdown. Everything before that, I mean, is obviously very critical that people shut up. So I think there shouldn't be a lot happening now as a consequence of this hand. I think what also should be happening is more responsibility for the dealer and the casino,
Of
frankly.
course.
No, I think there's also a way too less or too little apology on their behalf. Also, if I were a player and on the offset chance that I'm paying so little attention that I'm not seeing a hand like this, I would for sure try to make it right to the player. Like if I ever steal equity from somebody in a spot like this, yes, it could happen to me, no doubt about it. Sometimes I don't pay attention, but most of the time I do. Most of the time I will intervene here. But if I don't, then maybe just give him something back, or just at least try to rectify it in a way. And by the way, this is also something that I wouldn't do in other cases. Like I'm not that kind of guy who goes on a live stream and then because of public opinion, this guy mucked the winner and stuff. Yeah, if you muck the winner, it's your fault, man. Don't muck the winner. If you don't table your hand, don't expect me to give you your money back afterwards just because it's on a live stream or something. I don't do that shit because it's responsibility, and you're responsible to table your hand. Maybe we can talk about some I don't know, pity or I don't know, just something like that. But at least I'm not refunding anything on that. However, if I'm not taking my responsibility of pointing out that the hand didn't go to the winner, then I think it's time to rectify the situation and make up for it, because it's just the right thing to do. I think I can see both situations being completely different here. When you try to make up for something, and when you try to apologize for something that you did wrong, and not for some guy to not table his hand.
Yeah, I think the example you gave uh, is totally different, and it was definitely the player's responsibility to table their hand and make sure that the pot is given to the correct person, the winner, right? Um, and if they don't, even though it's on a live feed, so what? Like if we weren't on a live feed, you'd never know, right? And So what?
Yeah, this ties into results orientedness
Yeah.
as well, Sherry. I
Yeah.
mean, you would, like you said, you would never know. And then your live stream, you see your mistake, and you would have never known. And then you kind of complain to the guy that he's not giving you the money back. I mean,
Right.
just own your mistake and deal with it. I think that's the way to go. Yeah.
Yeah, and learn from it for next time.
Yeah, and I feel kind of bad for this guy who busted third because, yeah, he made a mistake, but I think way too many people put also too much emphasis on him missing, and he had just so little chance to. I mean, not little. I think I would have spotted it, but if there was ever a chance of me missing it and passing with the best hand, it would have been probably that spot of a dealer snap marking in 2 seconds. I mean, it's almost like there is a sub 10% or above 5 to 10% chance that they kind of orchestrated it, because I mean, this is ridiculous that he had so few moments to even. I mean, there's also something to be said about players grieving about their losses. I see this all the time in poker. I mean, yes, you don't have to give them 30 seconds to grieve about a loss, but give them like 5-10 seconds to come to the terms with the fact that they lost. I think we have sometimes 1 hour levels, 90-minute levels, or whatever. If somebody needs their 5 seconds to see that they lost their hand, give them those 5 seconds to just see, well, I don't have the best hand. I lost, this guy won. And this is so important for a dealer in general to deal in a way where this is secured.
Right. Oh, 100%. If, again, it comes down to the dealer and the house making and ensuring that final table is being taken care of properly. And that's first and foremost. But for me, the conversation pivoted yesterday to what are we going to do in the future? Outside of, I'm not talking about what the house needs to do and the dealer needs to do as far as reporters are concerned.
I don't think
And
that
the
should be.
rail.
Yeah.
And the
Okay.
rail.
Yeah, I don't think there should be too much changes. I think some of the good stuff that we can do is to make people understand TDA rules. That's always a good thing. And then also dealer training in general. I mean, this dealer has probably been there for a while, or I don't know, because he's been, I mean, according to his speed, he's probably acquired some experience, and that can be a problem sometimes too. But just understanding as a casino worker, yeah, that's how you're supposed to act in those situations when there's a lot of money at stake, that you don't rush things. I think this is also something that can be improved, and it would obviously work a little bit as a safety net as well, that you don't snap muck a hand. Or I think I only realized this also a couple of months ago. There's been a poker game that I've played, and this one guy, he went off at the dealer, and I think it was one of those rare cases where he was right, because the dealer was kind of getting snippy with the player because the player asked him to slow down. He said, look, to the dealer, I want to make sure that with my processing speed, that everything's right and I understand why I've lost and why I've won. And it's not on you as a dealer to decide, when there's that I need to be faster, because you're in the end also a customer from a casino. And
Right.
if you're downstairs playing blackjack or something, if you're a little bit slow, yes, you might be too slow. You might be annoying everyone. There's obviously a limit at some point. But if dealers are just, trying to overtake, or how do I phrase this? To dictate your speed of processing, I think that's clearly a big mistake.
Well,
And
and I've seen that
yeah,
happen when dealers are really focused on their rake, like their tips and their rake. And that they just, if the hands are going too slowly, they're not getting tipped enough in their eyes. So they're really trying to speed up the game. And I've even spoken to dealers before. In particular, one thing that comes to my mind is we had a relatively new player on our table, and they kept saying, wait, I want to see, like, and when the hand would complete, they would want to see the board. Because they were still learning. So they wanted to see, you know, where the winner was. Maybe they didn't catch it fast enough. Like those of us that have been playing many years, we catch it a little quicker than a newer player. And so the newer player kept telling the dealer, could I see? Could I see? And the dealer just kept swiping up the cards and moving along. And I finally said to the dealer, I said, could you slow down a little bit? We have a new player and she's asking you to see the board. So, like, can you just slow down a little bit? And of course, the dealer didn't like the fact that I asked him to slow down. Well, too bad. It's our game. Like,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
I mean, this is another bad consequence of this obsessive, or it is just tipping culture. I'm not a huge fan at all. I mean, this doesn't happen nearly as much in Europe. I mean, I like the speed in the US, but yeah, as you say, sometimes uh, it's required that you slow down a little bit, because if you're a player, sure, don't sit down and a high stakes. I mean, maybe you sit down in a high stakes game if you're a player, because everyone is celebrating that you're dumping off huge amounts of money. But no, but if you're like in a 1-3 game or the smallest game in the room, maybe you slow down action a little bit. If it's not too obsessive, you got to start at some point or at some game, and I think people need to be very friendly towards beginners. People are starting out the game,
and if we want
it,
them to come back, we got to treat
yeah,
them with respect, that we
for
appreciate you
sure.
putting your chips on our table and we hope you come back. Not, oh, screw you. I don't care if you know who's winning or losing. Like, wait, what? We want those players to come back.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're giving you the action. They're dumping their money, and I mean, this is certainly something that I think people, including dealer, have to respect. And I mean, tipping culture is just such a big problem in the States, and how it's evolved, and how people are just paid so little, and then they have to depend on weird things to make their money back, and speeding up things. I mean, it's the same with Uber drivers, right? Where they just they're giving up on safety at times, and yeah, there's a rating system where you can punish that a little bit by downvoting them. But
Well, and
yeah,
let's not forget that they're making choices to drive Uber. They're making choices to work in a job where they're tip dependent. So if they choose those jobs, then they really can't complain about those jobs. If you don't like to, being dependent on tipping, then don't get a job where tipping's involved.
yeah, I mean, it's a tough spot. I mean, people need to make money, I definitely have a lot of empathy with Uber drivers, and it's just tough. But
Okay,
yeah,
I've actually been an Uber driver. So
yeah.
why do you have empathy for Uber drivers? What would be the points of contention? I'm going to tell you, I loved it.
I mean, I probably just a tough hourly. I mean, it depends on maybe how well you're doing, but yeah, to make ends meet, and maybe lack of alternatives as well. Let's say you just apply to a bunch of jobs. I mean, it depends which Uber driver you are, right? But let's assume that some of them apply for a lot of jobs and they don't find anything that's paying them X amounts, and just hourlies are just so low in general in this world. I feel genuinely bad for a lot of people who have a tough time making ends meet. The rising cost of housing, etc. And then they are in a job where they see an out, right? They see the light where they can, well, if I do this, then maybe I can make higher tips, and then it's only human to act accordingly, and your brain is basically trying to find a solution for you in order to get out of this, and maybe that's speeding up a poker game, maybe it's speeding up while driving, or just anything that can be negative for other people, but you see it as a solution. So that's what I'm meaning with empathy, that I understand why they're acting this way, and that it's also a big problem of the system.
Interesting. Uber drivers make good money if they choose to work. Let me tell
Okay,
you,
so
the
what was your
Uber
experience?
drivers, the
Yeah.
Uber drivers that Uber drive in cities like New York, Chicago, Atlanta, Vegas, you can make so much money as an Uber driver in Vegas. It's ridiculous. I've known many Uber drivers that have quit their full-time paid salary jobs making good money to be full-time Uber drivers. And that still blows my mind. but that's because they're in Vegas and they can do hundreds, maybe not hundreds, tens of rides a day.
So how much are we talking? I mean, per day? Like, let's say you drive Uber for a day for 8 hours. Like, what are you talking about?
In Vegas, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I would imagine over $1,500.
You kidding?
No, I'm not kidding.
How's that even possible? Like,
Because
mathematically.
okay, because most of the rides in Vegas are going short distances, like the Horseshoe to the Wynn to the Aria to Caesars. So they're short trips, but all of the service charges you pay on the front end of a ride applies no matter how long or short that trip is. Now, of course, if it's a longer trip, there's premium, right? And during premium height driving time in Vegas, which is a lot of time, really often, they're really making, what, double the price they normally would? I don't know the exact numbers, but when you order an Uber in Vegas at a premium time, a ride that's normally $20, $25, $30 now becomes $50, $60, $70.
I mean, I have never driven Uber myself, but just doing like a little bit of math, double check what you got. So I have taken Ubers, and it's like $10 to $20 for the short rides, and I would expect with downtime people to make like 4 of them an hour, maybe 5 or 6. So it's like 60, and then you work for 8 hours, so you go like to $480 or to $500. So 1,500 is just
You're
covering
forgetting the tips.
Yeah. I mean, how much are people tipping?
In
Are some people
Vegas,
like
people are
doubling and
very
stuff?
generous in Vegas. Come on. Think of it when you're playing, like, I don't know if you play in the pits and somebody comes or they're tipping a dealer. Not everybody. I'm talking about the vacationers. I'm not talking about your grinders. I'm talking about the vacationers. They're tipping very well. I tip very well. I tipped $10 on a $25 Uber ride.
Yeah, and if you get to keep that 100%, it's probably different, right? So yeah. Yeah, I mean, could be, yeah. I mean, yeah, I've never,
Okay,
I've
so
never
when
seen
you
it or
look
thought about it
when
this
you
way.
look at your Uber app, and how long was and you may have said this and I just forgot. Did it say how many minutes your ride was for that $20 ride? How many minutes?
I mean, can I see past rides somewhere, or
I don't know.
can
I think we can. Let me see if I pulled it up.
I've used like
Hold
10
on.
Ubers or so last year.
I just used a Lyft the other day. Let me see if I could pull it up.
Okay.
Oh no, wait. Hold on. I'm trying to accidentally schedule one. No, I do not want to schedule one. I'm trying to look at let's see.
I mean, yeah, I've
Let's
had
try.
8 minutes, $10.30, and I made it like 14 or something. That what was
Okay.
for the
So
8
I just
minutes.
took a 8-minute ride on the 26th of February, and it was $16, not including the tip.
Mm-hmm.
So let's give it a 10-minute. Let's give it 15. So another 13-minute ride was $18.92 on February 18th. 8-minute ride was on December 16th was $16.68. 10-minute ride on November 19th was $18.71.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, still, like, it probably depends also how you organize the things with the cars, the running costs. I mean, which I'm not like too familiar with. I had the same car for like 15 years plus. And then some people they rent I don't know how that works, but some people with their Teslas and driving Uber. I don't understand the whole math behind that, but yeah.
Well, and you also have to take into consideration that with our tax system here in the States, their vehicle now becomes a tax write-off. The gasoline, the mileage. So there's other benefits as well that through our tax system, they're actually going to get money back because of the deductions that they can now apply that they would not normally apply if they didn't drive for Uber.
Okay, makes sense. By the way, another part about going back to a little bit about poker. Have you guys seen Doc stream the last 3 days and making remarks about vloggers? It's just a little bit funny, how the top WPT Gold is just
Okay.
such a
So
broken site, and then him joking about, but the player pool is so good. It's a bit funny to me.
Okay, so we were just touched on it briefly earlier. So are you saying that Doug is like saying stuff in his live feed about the WPT Gold site?
Yeah, I mean, he started streaming, I think, the last couple of days,
Right.
and so he made this one tweet about, oh, you can't multi-table, you can't run it twice, you can't label players, you can't auto top off. Like the software is just so dog shit. But then the pros of the site, player pool watches vlogs. So he did like this editor thing. Like I think the tweet is somewhere up. Yeah, it's
Got it.
pretty
Because
funny.
I saw I posted up in the Jumbotron the WPT Gold talking about recently one of our affiliates has taken the critical approach toward our platform, blah, 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 blah. So we were just guessing that they were talking about Doug Polk.
Yeah, but that's probably Thomas writing this, right? Because I think
excuse me, it is Thomas. Yes, it is indeed Thomas.
Yeah, so they're kind of just messing a little bit with each other, having fun.
It is funny. I love the
I
new
thought
WPT Golds. I love what Thomas is doing. But we'll see how long it's going to last before the powers that be put a kibosh on it.
Yeah, that's so funny. I mean, those offshore, site, or I don't know, it's just so special. But yeah, the Twitter account with Thomas running is obviously pretty funny.
I've really been enjoying it.
Apology. Yeah. Some people have said it goes too far with like competitors. Like, no, this is the stuff we want to see.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes, it goes too far, but it's exactly what we want to see.
Yeah.
So, what are you playing
then,
next, Andres?
By the way, just World Poker Tours. Speaking about this, I don't know if he's also managing the World Poker Tour Twitter, but let me just quickly post this here.
I don't think he is, but go ahead.
Can I post this in the chat? How could this happen? Yeah, I don't know who did this, but it would have been funnier if he made an additional caption. But it's also a competitor, right? How could this happen?
Love it so much.
I mean, and yeah, your question, like I've taken it a little bit easier, like the beginning of this year. Also last year, I don't know if I've been on Spaces, but I took some time off poker because it was all a little bit too much. And went to Thailand, did a little bit of yoga and Muay Thai, and just taking some time off. It was a pretty interesting experience, and try to be a bit more mindful of my energy. Not always not always go full speed with poker and just grind nonstop and don't do anything else anymore. So yeah, Irish Open is next for sure, and then maybe something before that. But the Irish Open I like. It's a good festival, well organized, a little bit high rake and expensive in general, but really good organizers. I know a lot of people.
Sure.
There,
it's
so
definitely
it's
on
cool.
my poker bucket list.
You going?
Not this year, but it's definitely on my poker bucket list.
Yeah, what about the World Series? I mean, I've booked also, so that's on the menu for the whole series again. But like, what event do you have in mind for the series? Are you going to be there?
I am going to be there, and I have booked, I think, just about 6 days so far. but I'm trying to work on the dates because now they announced the memorial service for John Cernuto, and I had not planned to get there that early. It's on the 15th of June. So I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to go that early, then go back home and then go back, or if I'm just going to stay there for 2 weeks, which I'd rather not. But um, there's something else going on. My daughter has been approached by the president of a big media company to do a special project this summer. If she takes it on, then I have to go to the state where she's going to be working out of so I can watch the baby while she's working. So I've stopped booking stuff until she decides if she's going to take that short project on or not. Because that could change. Like, I'm not going to change my dates at the end of June, but I may not be able to extend them for 2 weeks, is my point.
Okay.
So,
Got
um,
it.
yeah. So I know there's going to be a meetup game, but that's it. What I'm going to play, I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, the schedule is out there, but it's always good to decide spontaneously. What do you think the best are? I mean,
Well, I
there's just so many
always,
events to play.
right. And I always go out there with a plan of action. I always make a calendar, a day by day calendar. And on that calendar, I list um, a couple of events every day so that when I get there the night before, I can look the next day and see what my options are that am interested in, and then decide at that point.
Yeah, I mean, probably also I don't know when the ladies event is. That's always what
Yeah, it's that
yeah.
week that I have booked already is ladies
Yeah.
week. But typically I only play one or two of the ladies events just because the open, so to speak, field events, the rate of return is just so much better. We get good numbers in a ladies event, but they're never going to compete with the numbers of an open event.
Yeah, I mean, you can never win nearly as much, for
Right,
sure.
right.
Yeah.
So I typically play one or two ladies events because I support those. But yeah. So anyway,
Yeah, and these 1K no limits in Vegas, you can win life-changing money in them, and it's ridiculous how large those fields are.
right,
If you bink one, yeah,
right,
it's so hard. I'm not sure if for me it's always a little bit between playing PLO, smaller fields, and like actually having a chance to win them, and then no limit having this huge lottery where you can win a lot more, but it's so difficult
right.
to get to a final tabling. So I kind of prefer PLO. But then there's also the 1 day events, where you end up playing until 4 or 5 a.m. and then your sleep rhythm is all messed up. So I'm not even sure what I'm going to do this year. It's a
And
lot
I
of
get,
pros and cons.
look, I get that with the 1 a.m. because that one tournament, the ladies warm up event last WSOP, we finally decided to chop. I think it was 7 ways at like 3 o'clock in the morning, but then we played it out for the trophy and X amount of dollars. And, here we are like the Walking Dead at 4:30 in the morning finishing the tournament because I finished up in second place. That's it started at what, 6 or 7 that night, and here it is 4 a.m. and we're just finishing. It's a
Yeah, I
lot.
mean, it's also late. 6 p.m. is obviously quite a late start too, because a lot of the events they start at noon,
Right.
and yeah.
We had like 180 ladies. It either started at 6 or 7, and I actually flew in that day, and
Okay.
I late regged like at 7:45 or 8:40. I don't even remember. It was like 15 minutes before late reg was ending. I late regged. And here I am at 4 in the morning, like exhausted, thinking, why did I play this tournament? Like, it's not a good way to start my trip because now I go to my hotel by 4:35. I think it was 5:30 that morning. Now the whole day is screwed up because now I got to sleep.
Yeah. It's now imagine if you do like the whole day, and then he still goes into the 16th, 17th hour. It's
Right.
just brutal, especially if you repeat it again and again, or if you have multiple of these days. It's a long summer, so need to preserve some energy.
Right.
Yeah.
So, got to choose wisely, right?
Yeah. Karen is also joined the chat. Hello.
Hey, Karen. See, it still shows her as a listener to me. It's this app.
Yeah.
Hey, Karen.
I've watched some of your husband's lectures again on YouTube. Just some of them in the past.
Awesome.
I don't know. Yeah, I still like chess. It's a good game, but it's still a lot of work to get better. Slowly getting there. So
Good
in
for
the
you for
meantime,
working on your game.
yeah. So it's a fun game. I mean, also maybe during Vegas there's another small chess convention again. Maybe I'll have a minute stopping by, because last year I remember was at the Flamingo, and then on the second floor in the Flamingo there was like a small chess event for like 2-3 days.
I think
This
Karen talked about that event.
last year, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
I think she did. I think she met. Who did
This
she?
is
She met.
Mike, Boston Mike or something, who's also on YouTube. Who's always trash talking other players. I played one round against him, so that was fun. Oh, it's so difficult, man. It's like 5 minutes speed chess blitzing. It's especially over the board. I only play online most of the time, so when I have to play over the board, I just don't see stuff nearly as fast. It's even much harder over the board when you're not used to it.
I hear you. Hey,
Hey
Yeah, you
Karen.
play
guys.
Go ahead, Karen.
Hello.
Hey guys. Hey Andres. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Do I pronounce your name Andreas? Andres? How do I say it?
Andreas. Andreas
Andreas.
is,
Okay.
yeah.
So yeah, I missed the first part of what you guys just were saying because I was talking to Ben about something, but then I caught the tail end. Are you going to play in the National Open?
Uh, what do you mean?
That's a chess tournament in June in Vegas, or maybe you guys were talking
Yeah,
something
I've
else.
just wondered whether there's. I mean, I'm not too familiar with what's going on in the chess world, just because I play chess online. But I've, by coincidence, noted it last year. So maybe I thought this year I'm going to be in Vegas again. Maybe this year I'm a little bit better than last year. Maybe I can play a little bit. Let's see. I don't
Oh,
play much
okay.
over the board, so maybe I'll stop by and play a few
Yeah, that's my
rounds.
favorite chess tournament. I didn't play last year. Maybe I didn't play the year before. I'd played 2 or 3 years ago. It's my favorite chess tournament, and it was funny because we were talking about that recently, Sherry. When it with your bet on Drew
Oh, that's right. It was
space.
Drew. Yes. I knew we
Yes,
were talking about that.
yeah. So because Ben works for the National Open every year, and so I go sometimes, but it's just difficult because we have dogs, so I usually stay back. But one year we went. It was when I just got into poker, and they have a little poker tournament for all the chess people at the end of the chess festival. So that's fun to play too. But yeah, they have the Blitz event that's fun.
I love that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, make sure to remind me in June. And it's just like a 1 day, because if there's I hope that there's not too much in terms of a competing poker tournament for the World Series on that day. But I'm certainly interested in playing chess for a day during summer.
Well, I'm just going to tell you, you're going to have to take a day off for chess, and then you're going to have to take a day off for the
For the
meetup
meetup
game.
game.
So you could
Let's see.
play the other 60 days, Andreas.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's not my favorite tournament, I have to skip. If it's just a random PLO, I don't care. But if it's like one of my best tournaments, I cannot skip. But let's see.
Understandable.
Yeah.
And I
Last
always
year, at least 1 day, 1 or 2 days, I still had off. So it's, yeah. The random no limit, I don't care too much about it. But let's see what's the date and
I always try to pick
yeah.
3 days for my operator to choose from. And when I look at those 3 days, I look at all of the schedules: the Orleans, the Aria, the Nugget, the Win, the Venetian, the MGM, the World Series of Poker. I look at all of them and I try to find a day that
Yeah.
has the least interference that people, so people don't have to choose. But, there's always a tournament being, played. So
I mean, there's so much. I like that also, looking at everything a little bit in terms of all the casinos. It's a bit a shame that everything below 1K it's fairly highly raked, and it's getting kind of tough to justify when you're spending so much on a hotel and stuff. But yeah, it's good to see what kind of, especially if you have also mixed games in there, that you try to pick out some maybe high-low or horse or 8-game
Right.
tournaments that you particularly like, and just go to the Golden Nugget for one day and then play that one. I kind of like that in Vegas for sure in summer.
There's so many
And
options. And I'm going to tell you, the one thing that I do miss is the Goliath at the Planet Hollywood. That was used to be such a great series, and I hate that they did away with it.
okay, how did Planet Hollywood it wasn't it always too loud? I mean, the way I remember it, it's like the loudest poker tournament that I've ever played at. I played it, I think, once. I mean, the player field was great, but I mean, it was loud. It was
Yeah,
just way too
because
loud.
of the location, right? Because it was
Yes.
upstairs, and the way the building is built, the sound just, from the floor, the casino floor just bounced and radiated upstairs, right? And
Oh
so it was very loud up there.
no, I played, I think, downstairs where all the other table games were as well. I think it was like a
Oh, I've
200
never
player
played
field or
down there.
something. Yeah, it was all over the place. There were also like women dancing around tables and stuff. Like it was a while ago. Yeah.
Oh, I've never played when it was downstairs, so I can't
Yeah.
give you any opinion about that, but it would be very loud if you played down there for sure, because I thought it
Yeah.
was loud upstairs.
Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous. I mean, you could
But
barely hear
I
anything.
I love this. I love the variety that they had. They did a lot of tournaments that were kind of different and um, just some fun stuff.
Okay, fair enough.
So it was kind of surprising that it kind of just went away. It was a big series. It just kind of went away. COVID hit and it never came back, and I was kind of surprised.
Yeah. I mean, I'm also like probably gonna play the new event where you're playing half 50 plus and half 50 below to see, you know.
I
It's interesting. Yeah, it's a kind of interesting format where if you make day two, then all of a sudden you have like a perfect mix, and then on day one you have only, I mean, in my case, 50 below players. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, and when I first read that description, I actually kind of interpreted it wrong, and then I just kept like rehashing it to. Of course, people are trying to call me right now. To what it is, I just kind of went back and I was like, wait, I think I misread that, and sure enough, I did. Because at first I thought you're going to build a like a tag team, like I'm going to find somebody that's under 50 years of age and play as a tag team, which I thought was kind of cool. Um, but the way they're doing it is, you know, the over 50 crowd are going to play a flight, and the under 50 crowd are going to play a flight. And then day two, those flights combine.
Yeah, yeah. I
So,
mean, can be fun too. I mean,
yeah, no, I
I'll
think,
see.
yeah,
Yeah,
no, I think I actually will probably be on my list of possibilities. Because, like you, I'm curious and just want to see how it all plays out for sure.
and then the bomb pot tournament is also a clear no miss, because every 8 hands you have a bomb pot. I mean, yeah, it's a fun tournament format, and this year they only have PLO in it, so no more hold on bomb pots.
Thank God. I don't like bomb pots, but if you do, God bless you. Enjoy.
Yeah,
And I'm going to tell you why I have a sour taste about it. I had went to the lodge back in 2021, and I went with folks from the radio station I was working on, and we actually got invited to come help promote them, because at that time, believe it or not, shows you how times have changed. They only had like 700 viewers on their YouTube channel. And so they asked us to come and help promote and blah, 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 build the audience. And here we are today. They win a GPI award for the best feed. But anyway, so when we're there, not only at the lodge, but I also went to the Texas Card House because I'd like to try different rooms. And I am at a no limit table, and they have a bomb pot button. So every time, you play a bomb pot when the button is whatever. And then every time there's a dealer change, you play a bomb pot. Well, I'm playing more bomb pots than I am no limit because each bomb pot hand takes 15 damn minutes. I want to play, and they always choose PLO. I want to play no limit. I'm here to play no limit. So, you know what I started doing? I started calling pineapple, and they were pissed. And I said, I'm not here to play PLO. If you want to play PLO, there's the PLO table over there. I'm here to play no limit.
That's how they usually get you. That's how we get the Hold'em guys. We just say, well, let's do a bomb pot. And
Yeah.
then you play PLO. That's how you convert non-believers to card
Well,
non-believers.
and guess what? I got up and put my chips in my purse, and I went and played a no limit game without bomb pots. So, as a consumer, I have that choice. Like, fuck off with your bomb pots. I'm at a no limit table. Go to PLO and play all the bomb pots you want to play. I'm at a no limit table. So there you go. So they ruined it for me.
Now you can do one like maybe every half an hour, but if you do like dealer change and half an hour or whatever, then it gets probably too much. And
I mean, we're literally probably playing 2 hands of no limit an hour.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, you need a really fast dealer too for bomb pots there. It's really good if the dealer has some good speed. And I mean, if people are actually not playing somewhat solid, then the bomb pots gets taken down without a showdown. But then if it's a good game, then the bomb pots take forever. It goes both ways,
Yeah, I'm not interested.
If the bomb pots take long, then people are not playing them properly.
It was annoying. Like, we're not playing poker here. It's a free for all. Like, let's play poker and I'll take your chips. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, in Vegas, I'm down in bomb pots a lot, so this didn't work out so well for me there. Other places I've won, but not in Vegas.
And, contrary to popular belief, bomb pots are not really that great for the game. So, anyway, just my personal opinion for what it's worth.
Yeah, it always depends. I think it's depending on the game. I think that can be really bad, and it slows down everything. It's sometimes bad for everyone, depending. I mean, sometimes it's only good for very few people, where they win the most in the bomb pots, or maybe the guy who covers one guy and they're super deep, and somehow they ended up getting all in the bomb pot. That's a lot of big pots happen, so can be mostly good for like one player.
Well, and I won the first bomb pot and I sat out the rest of them. And then when it was my turn to choose, I chose pineapple. So yeah, didn't work out too good for them.
Yeah, they didn't catch you.
Exactly.
Yeah, they try everything these days.
I don't have stupid written on my forehead, assholes.
I mean, you have to understand the appeal of people. It's hard to find believers. It's like it's much harder than with religion. To be on a mission and find good believers. It's hard to convert people.
Imagine that. You can't find suckers.
I mean, it's also more fun, the full card. I mean, in a cash game.
Then go play PLO.
Yeah. I'm not necessarily saying bomb pots, but bomb pots are like the gateway drug to PLO. That's what I'm saying. People sometimes say, okay, let's do like one bomb pot because it's like fun, but then they don't want to engage in a full PLO game. So maybe sometimes they learn the rules of PLO by just playing a bomb pot. And then also some people who are gamblers and they just want action, they kind of like bomb pots because everyone has to play the hand. Everyone's forced in with an ante, and the needy players, they don't get a way out. They have to commit the ante. Whereas in a blind game in PLO, if they play 80% BPIP, they're getting obviously steamrolled by 25% VPIP guys, so it evens out the playing field a little bit, but yeah, I agree up to some point that it's a huge gamble fest as well, and yeah, not always that good for the game.
Yeah, I'm here to play poker, not chips.
But how are you going to play more PLO in Europe? I just don't see how we can popularize it. In the US, you always have like some people that want to play PLO, and
Because the Europeans love their
Europe,
money more than the Americans do.
Yeah.
They love they want to keep their money in their own pockets.
That's the thing. You don't necessarily lose more in PLO if you play like the same VPIP. In Hold'em, people have just learned how to play a lot better. They don't play every hand anymore.
Right.
And not everywhere. Sometimes they're obviously pretty bad too. But in PLO, people will be surprised like how like some people will play an enormous amount of hands. Yeah, sure, they're gonna have massive losses and the swings are gonna be much greater, but you don't necessarily lose more. You just sometimes lose it a lot faster. But on average per hour in PLO, because of the equities running so close, it's much less studied of a game, of course. And the thing is, in No Limit, it's sometimes very hard to win money from very tight players if they just engage with the best hands in a 9-handed ring game. But in PLO, especially if you have like an ante or so, it can be it can be sometimes, depends. But sometimes you can win also money from the players that don't play that many hands. It's a bit a different game. Yeah, it's all a bit specific. And I think in general, like live cash games, they should be played 8-handed and not 9-handed or 10-handed or some stuff. 8-handed is cool.
I like 10-handed. I bet you
don't
hear.
Have to fold.
I don't. I bet you don't hear people say that very often.
No, it's a fold fest. It's so painful. You see like somebody open from under the gun 10-handed. You're like,
did I not tell you that I have a VPIP of 3? I'm just kidding.
That's even worse. No, you probably play. I don't know how many
kidding. I am just kidding.
But imagine like somebody with a 15% VPIP, which sometimes might be me, in a 10-handed game. So opens from under the gun, and then you're like in middle position. What hands can you continue with? Pairs, suited connectors.
Imagine that. You'd really have to play good, solid poker. Imagine that.
And not just solid, but like ultra nitty sometimes as well, And whereas you play 6 max or something like that, it's just
it's not a chip fest, right? It's not a chip fest.
You get to 3-bet. Yeah, but you get to 3-bet a lot more and play more aggressively. It's much more fun. To each their own, understand.
Absolutely. All right, listen, I have really enjoyed this, but I have to get ready to get out the door. Good chatting with you, Andres. As always, Karen, you too. I hope you have a good day. Everybody that participated, appreciate all of you.
See you guys.
Yes, same to you guys. Yeah, bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.